Let me start this year within the framework of the European Association with Mercosur. The European Union has launched Inspirame, a project in Uruguay, together with the Chamber of Service in Uruguay and the Euro Chamber, and it encourages to make use of this agreement. So today and tomorrow, we are going to carry out this third forum in Uruguay, and the main issues are going to be services, digital transformation, and green economy. So we're going to have 4 different panels, and we're going to see European investments in Uruguay, new opportunities in Uruguay, as well as trends and good practices and joint experiences in the development of services and towards transforming towards a green economy. We would like to thank the sponsors, BBVA, Caden 80, Eolia, Facal & Company, Eden Red, Montes del Plata, Movistar, and our friend partner El País, the newspaper. This is being broadcasted live in the main site of El País, also in LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and in the YouTube channel, where there is a chat and where you will be able to exchange and make questions to the speakers. For those who want to continue following the presentation in English, you can follow it in the Inspirame channel in the version which is into English. So let's give start to this activity, and I invite Luis Martinez to join us today. Good morning, everybody, all of those present here, and also those of you who are following us online. As the president of the Euro Chamber, I would like to welcome you to the third forum of European investment in Uruguay. So within the framework of Inspirame project in Uruguay, which is a project that is mainly financed by the European Union and jointly managed by our chamber and the Chamber of Commerce and Service in Uruguay. I would like to thank and greet the ministers who are present, Mr. Bustillo from Foreign Affairs, Adrián Peña from Environment, Ms. Arbeleche from the Minister of Economy. I would also like to greet Mr. Carl Oro from the Ambassador of the European Union in Uruguay, all ambassadors and members of the diplomatic missions, and also to thank the constant support and joint work that we've been carrying out with the Chamber of Commerce and Services in Uruguay. And so my greeting to Julio Lestido, and to all of you who are here today, and those of you who are online, and my fellow members of the Euro Chamber, and to all of you who are online through this huge transmission broadcasting that is being carried out by El País. So thank you, welcome to all of you. I would like to talk about the Euro Chamber. This gathers national chambers and also from the European Union. There are 8 of them. The French one, which I preside, the German, the Portuguese, the Italian, the Spanish, the Polish, and the Czech. I would like to highlight the support of all the presidents and delegates in this refounding task that we have started a few months ago, and that is a great work being carried out. We are a benchmark in terms of investments, and it's essential, this interaction, that we are a nexus between Europe and Uruguay, facilitating through the chambers individually and also together in the Euro Chamber, facilitating the business relationships between the European Union and Uruguay. With respect to the project Inspirame, this project is a contribution from the European Union to our country, and especially for companies, especially focused on the interior of the country, on women and young people. It has so the two main objectives is to have dialogue round tables as well as workshops to strengthen and help small and medium-sized companies. And they are the focus of this project. The third objective is to have workshops to train and inform these people on how to carry out trade with the European Union. And this includes workshops along these 2 years in the interior of the country, and also another forum in 2021. We have already carried out some virtual workshops together with El País, the newspaper, with a very good attendance from all the departments of the country. So we expect to have this in other 9 departments and so on. So this investment forum that forms part of the objective of this project is the third one and is being carried out by the Euro Chamber of Uruguay to strengthen the relations. The idea is to set up new opportunities, to share trends, joint initiatives between the European Union and Uruguay. So we will focus on the development of services, on the green economy, as Paula mentioned. With respect to the agreement and our position, in the next few hours, we are going to submit a letter with respect to this so-mentioned agreement. And we are, of course, in favor of this agreement, and we will express so in this document. It is essential for us, for our country and the development of the country and the companies to sign this agreement. So every time I talk about European Union and Uruguay, I remember the football matches. So I would like to thank our sponsors, BBVA, Monte del Plata, and Edenred, Sodexo, Mazars, and of course El País, among others, for supporting this forum. And also I would like to highlight the presence of these companies in our country. So thank you very much, and I hope we have a very fruitful morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Luis Martinez, for your participation. We'll give the floor to Julio Lestido, President of the Chamber of Commerce and Services of Uruguay. To the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Francisco Bustillo, the Minister of the Environment, Mr. Adrián Peña, Executive Vice President, Mr. Valdis Dombrovski, the Ambassador of the European Union, in Uruguay, Carl Otto Koenig, and the President of the Euro Chamber, Luis Martinez. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for the invitations to be part of this panel of European investment in Uruguay, with a focus on services and green economy. I would also like to say hello to the Minister of Finance and Economy, Ms. Azucena Arbeleche, also the Deputy Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Ache, and all the authorities and the ambassadors that are here in Uruguay. Our dear friend and president of the Union of Exporters, Andrea Roth. I would like to thank you all for being here and to say good morning to all of you. Thinking about an agreement between the European Union and Mercosur may seem something too big and too far away from Uruguayan companies, but it is not. We cannot let that happen On the contrary, we should get closer and transform a diplomatic agreement into a new reality to take advantage of this for the companies. This is a challenge, and we cannot waste any time. We have to get this time. So when the agreement gets in force, we should be ready to have more jobs and more wealth for the country, and especially what we're all looking for, a better way of living for all Uruguayans. So this is our job from the Inspírame UE, UY, and UE project. We've been working together with the Euro Chamber and with incredible support of the European Union. An agreement between two economic blocs as important as Mercosur and the European Union is not something to benefit large companies. Large companies are not only benefited from this, but it's also beneficial for all the economy as a whole. So when a large exporter, whether a manufacturing exporter or a producer, exports, its activity moves millions of workers from all sectors of the country. So the largest group of services comes into the game and benefits all these people so they can take better advantage. This challenge and the way it is done is the way that the Chamber of Services and Commerce takes part in this. We contribute to provide companies to know the new opportunities. That's what we have been doing, with a focus on the latest trends on technology, innovation, and the new forms of economy, especially on sectors that have a great potential that we have not always taken advantage of. I refer to young people, women entrepreneurs, and also companies that are considering the impact on the community and the environment as a fundamental variable in the design, management, and the results of the business. We have been working on this line and leading different actions with different public and private initiatives. Projects such as Inspire Me or Inspírame EU are initiatives to help entrepreneurs that are working on this, and we hope we can reap the benefits soon. This is a great example of everything that we have to do. This is the great entrepreneurial capacity of Uruguay. With projects such as this, this topic is key. Also, there are projects that have been underway for a long time. These projects have taken a lot of effort, and they are still showing their benefits. So that's what the Services and Commerce Chambers has been doing with projects such as Invest, because we have supported more than 2,600 companies directly, and also through our 48 unions that belong to the Chamber, both sector unions and regional ones. 97% of the companies in Uruguay are micro companies, and most of them belong to the commerce and services sector, and they benefit directly and indirectly from public policies and integration between the public and private sectors. And with this, together with the Inspírame EU program, we are generating the opportunity for small companies to get ready to expand their markets, such as, for example, the agreement of the European Union and Mercosur. So, on behalf of the Services and Commerce Chamber, I would like to thank all the authorities and all the speakers that we'll be having in these 2 days. And I would also like to thank and congratulate the team from the European Union, the Euro Chamber, and our team for having this forum here. And special thanks to the European Union, and in this case, to the embassy and the ambassador, my friend Otto Kenning, and all his team, because once again, they have trusted on us and on the Services and Commerce Chamber to create this project that is called Inspira.me EU. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Julio Lestido, the president of the Uruguayan Chamber of Commerce and Services. So while you continue uploading your queries or questions virtually, we are going to invite Karl Otto Koenig, the ambassador of the European Union in Uruguay. Welcome, ambassador. Mr. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Francisco Bustillo, the Minister of Economy and Finance, Azucena Arbeleche, Mr. Adrián Peña, the Minister of Environment, the Vice Secretary, Carolina Ache from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Vice Minister of Transport and Public Works, Mr. Olaizola, and a special greeting to all our friends and also the President, Luis Martinez of the Euro Chamber, and the President of the Chamber of Commerce and Services, Julio Lestido. Dear ambassadors of the member states of the European Union and in Uruguay and Argentina, also the authorities and distinguished business people, businessmen and businesswomen, so welcome to all of you. In spite of the pandemic, we are here celebrating the third forum of European investment in Uruguay. Once again, we have gathered stakeholders and companies from first quality, and in spite of all these difficulties, we are actually bonding our relationships in terms of business and friendship. This third forum is focused on services and green economy, key sectors for the European Union. Uruguay has a lot to offer in both areas, where there are important European investments already present. Certainly, these will grow even more. Uruguay has been known in the world for having a very good for handling the pandemic very well. In addition, it's an attractive destination, reliable, and with good jurisdiction stability for our investors. So I congratulate the Uruguayan government for this, how they handled the pandemic, and the pandemic has made me think of a saying of Einstein: without crisis, there are no merits. In the crisis is where we flourish the best part of ours. So, ladies and gentlemen, historically, there are many things which link us to Uruguay. The European Union opened its first office in Uruguay more than 30 years ago, and we have contributed a lot to the development of the country. Only in the last 15 years, we have invested 120 million euros in regional cooperation. So we have the strongest representation at the institutional level. Embassies, chambers of commerce, fintechs, cultural institutions, schools, cooperation agencies, scientific organizations and more than 400 European companies. Companies that create thousands of qualified job positions present in all the sectors of the Uruguayan economy. We are the first investor in Uruguay with 35% of the investment flow and 15,000 million euros in investments. The European Union is also the first investor in Latin America. The largest private investments in the country have been from Europe and have had an extraordinary impact for the economic growth and the generation of employment. Forestry, the pulp industry, telecommunication, port services, logistics, tourism, renewable energy. These are some examples of the different sectors where European companies operate in Uruguay. For the post-pandemic, the perspectives of our investments in most of the sectors that I mentioned are clearly going to be higher. The world commerce has been severely affected by the COVID-19, but we are still a reliable and real partner with Uruguay, with strong relations. Uruguay acknowledges the quality of the services and the products from Europe, and also Europe appreciates Uruguayan products that are actually highlight for their high quality. The European Union is a destination for Uruguayan exports of beef, cellulose, pulp, and soy. In terms of services, this sector is also increasing. According to the Eurostat, the mutual commerce of services between the European Union and Uruguay reached 1,500 million services, and this trend is going upward. Without any doubt, after the most severe part of this pandemic, we expect that European investments and services will increase in Uruguay because of the good image the country has. In 2020, the European Union and its member states, Team Europe as we call it, has contributed to mitigate the sanitary emergency and face the social and economic impacts of the pandemic in this country with several actions. We have reoriented the funds of our cooperation programs that are taking place, and we have given support to the civil society, and we have incorporated through the different projects with food aid and sanitary help to help the most vulnerable people, because we really care about our Uruguayan friends, and we believe that we can only actually finish this pandemic with the cooperation at an international level. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will see the future. We will talk about the future. Let's talk about the future and the association agreement between the Mercosur and the European Union. I think that the tension is higher. We all recognize the great commercial and economic advantages that this agreement can bring about for everybody, for all the parties. Its foreseeable and transparent rules will attract new investments, will generate employment, will encourage the integration of the production chain in both sides. One of the most important advantages of the agreement is that it will encourage the diversification of the economy, promoting new sectors, and this is essential to strengthen the economy in both regions. Without any doubt, the agreement will contribute to improving competitiveness, something that worries some of the parties in the Mercosur. We recognize that the different levels of development actually generate some kind of asymmetry, and this is seen in the volume with safeguard clauses. In addition, the European Union will actually release more than 80% of duties from the very first day it comes into effect. So it is very clear that the association is also very important in terms of strategy. This is a modern framework that will actually help us face world challenges, the fight against climate change, and as well as fair globalization, the protection of human rights and moral rights, also sustainable development, and many others. The negotiations for the agreement started more than 2 decades ago, and during those years, Europe increased a lot in terms of protecting the environment and in favor of a sustainable development due to the global environment and the deterioration of nature. So this environmentally policy became stronger at all the European level. I have already mentioned the geopolitical importance of the agreement. Many voices, skeptical voices, started asking what this agreement could mean for nature. And all of us know that the Amazonia is essential for the world climate. So to calm these member states, we need a binding commitment and clear one before we ratify this association agreement. As it was already said by the Vice President and Trade Commissioner of the European Union, Dombrovskis. This is a commitment that will bind all the parties to implement their international obligations in terms of protecting the environment, including the Paris Agreement. And this could actually unblock the situation quickly. So we are encouraged with the situation of Brazil to talk about this topic. Ladies and gentlemen, so let's think about the opportunities that this agreement brings about. We talked about the Inspira-me UE program, which we are looking to encourage the entrepreneurs in the country to take advantage of the situations. The small and medium-sized companies of the region will have more possibilities due to the large array of measures, especially the ones related to facilitating trade and the more transparent legal framework. The agreement will favor the trade of these small and medium-sized companies, and they have to know this. So in this sense, we are very happy, pleased to support and collaborate with Sembrando, which is the project of the Presidency of the Republic that is being actually promoted by the First Lady, Lorena Ponce de León. This initiative goes hand in hand with the Inspírame project because it aims at strengthening entrepreneur initiatives through training and workshops to share experiences. Sembrando and Inspírame UE are acting together in the entire country. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are working in the programming of our cooperation for the 2021-2027 period, and we want to strengthen our relation with Uruguay in strategic issues such as climate change, the protection of the environment, and also the digital transformation. The green economy and the digitalization are the most important priorities for the European Union, and they are the basis for the recovery after this pandemic, as we will see tomorrow. The collaboration between the European Union and Uruguay in terms of environmental policies and the fight against climate change has a long history, and we both recognize the climate emergency that we are experiencing and on the need to incorporate the concept of sustainable development in each of the policies developed by the states. The Green Deal is our roadmap to reach the carbon neutrality by the year 2050, and in order to exchange knowledge on technologies as well as to prepare and accompany investments, public investments and private investments in areas such as e-mobility, sustainable agriculture, and circular economy that include the treatment of waste, and that covers the entire production process. Without any doubt, the future will be digital, and digital economy must be fair and competitive. In addition to being a strong technology and revolutionary, the digitalization brings about social, political, and economic consequences without precedent. So we would like to have a digital economy that is open to everybody. And this openness should guarantee, first, a level playing field, that is, equal conditions for all the stakeholders. In second place, it should guarantee the security of the cyberspace. And thirdly, the essential rights of all human beings. Technology has to serve human beings and not the other way around. So this is otherwise it would become a dictatorship. So for that reason, we are aiming at establishing regulatory standards together with our democratic values. The pandemic accelerated the digital transformation and the need for fair international rules regarding e-commerce. So we want to work together with Uruguay to create a global environment which is reliable. We want to empower citizens with respect to how they act, and so that the data they provide are protected. In order to facilitate investments in areas related to the green economy and the digitalization in Uruguay, we are going to use financial instruments which are modern starting next year. For example, we are thinking about cooperating and proposing guarantees for the public and private sector in strategic areas, as well as soft loans for the investment in infrastructure. So these tools or these instruments need an active involvement of the public authorities, also the private sector and the development banks. So for that reason, we are very much willing to exchange ideas, to receive proposals from the authorities and the economic stakeholders. So, ladies and gentlemen, with political imagination and scientific knowledge, we will actually surpass and overcome this pandemic. So, with the announcement of this vaccine announced, we are very much expecting that this can actually bring about a solution. So after the pandemic, we will certainly have a different world, but in 2020 has shown not only our vulnerability, but also that we are social human beings. So we need each other very much, and we need to cooperate with each other. We need to accelerate the transition towards a safer and more sustainable future. The economic recovery should be based on sustainable patterns with diversified productive systems, resilient and with low emissions, investing on circular economy and on renewable energies, and betting on past solutions based on nature and the ecosystem. So let's look together for a digital solution and a green economy. As the yerba in the mate in Uruguay, which is also green. So let's promote a fair trade with an inclusive digitalization and privacy. European investments go along this way, and we'll do it on a larger scale in the future. We are the first foreign investor in Uruguay, and we are going to continue investing in Uruguay and more, and dealing with the challenges that we may have in the future. For sure, we are going to have more editions of this European Forum in Uruguay in the following years. So what topics we're going to talk about in the future? The topics could actually vary, but I believe that we will be together with our Uruguayan fellows going along the same track. The future starts today. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you very much, Ambassador of the European Union in Uruguay, Karl Otto Koenig. And I would like to remind you that you can follow us on social media through El País. You can even make questions or comments about the event. Let's give the floor now to the Ministry of the Environment, Adrián Peña. It's a real pleasure to be part of this third forum of European investment in Uruguay. I would like to say hello to the authorities, the organizers, and the ambassadors, and the president of the European Chamber. For the Minister of the Environment, it's a real pleasure to be here, especially because the focus is on green economy. So it's very important for us, especially because the European Union is a reference in terms of highlighting the environment when taking political decisions. And they have placed that on the front line whenever They are dealing with biodiversity and different economic decisions. So the creation of this ministry, I have been in office for 82 days. This is something new in Uruguay, and our aim is to put the decisions in terms of the environment at the same level as other decisions taken in the country. Decisions that have to do with production, with economy. We'll see if the creation of this ministry made sense, if the policies that will be taken in the future take this into account. This is our objective for the ministry. So we have intended to draw some of the guidelines. Uruguay is committed to the climate change, and we have been signatories of the Paris Agreement. And Uruguay has also set its objectives from 2030 to 2050. We've been working on that, and during all our work, we've had great cooperation with the European Union. We have some main objectives for the first stage in our management. First of all, to generate the institutionality of the Ministry of the Environment, which is quite complex from the point of view of management and administration. But apart from this, let's call it bureaucratic stage, that it's quite important. We have some objectives where Uruguay has put some focus on the priority of management in terms of water management, drinkable water, but also the administration and management of water resources. We have some strong challenges. We've had them this year, and we'll be facing a second year of drought, which implies a big challenge for the drinkable water and the supply of water in the metropolitan area, but also with what has to do with the administration of our water resources. Everything that is related to the waste administration. We are starting with a new law, the waste law, to have a comprehensive management of waste, where the cooperation that we have received and the support we have received from the different agreements with different countries has been really very important, especially the one with the European Union, and everything that has to do with sustainable development. Not long ago, there was a Sustainable Mobility Forum organized by the El País newspaper, where the European experience, of course, was very nourishing and valuable, because 97% of our energy resources come from renewable sources. We have a way that we have to move forward. But regarding sustainable development, I think it's key in the future of Uruguay. And I would like to stop here a second. Uruguay produces food. We are exporting agricultural products. Uruguay is the country, it's prairies, it's cattle. We export agricultural products and cattle products. We can produce food for 50 million people. And of course, this will be the destination and the destiny for Uruguay. And that's where we are strongly working today, to show the world that Uruguay is a natural producer of food. And that's why we are measuring and we are certifying our processes, and that's where we have a great challenge. And that is exactly where the cooperation with the European Union is key. The transfer of experience, know-how, and technology from the European Union to Uruguay is vital. The association agreement between Mercosur and the European Union will no doubt put all our capacities on the line, but that is also a great opportunity for Uruguay. This is how we see it. This is the opportunity that Uruguay has to take a quantum leap into the world and be recognized worldwide as a production country that is a natural producer. That's why we believe there's an opportunity, and all the national government is committed to this effort. Naturally, in this tension that we will have, because we will probably have to change some production models and some industrial models, but that is the battle that we need to face so we can take this quantum leap. The conductor, Federico Vigil, he said that Uruguay was a triangle of land with a lot of oxygen where people could live much better than in other places. That's Uruguay. One of the ambassadors here, I'm not going to mention his name because he asked me not to, but he said Uruguay is actually almost an example in terms of the environment, but nobody knows about it. So yesterday, we gathered with all the participants who are measuring production, ground production and soil production in Uruguay. And for the first time, we had a round table and we started to systematize and unify measures of carbon footprint. And so we can have a positive carbon footprint. And we started, yesterday, we started working on this. We also want to measure biodiversity, we want to measure water, and that's where we need assistance to reach our objective. Uruguay, a small production company that's producing natural food. That's why we need you. We need this cooperation. We need the support of different governments. We have gathered with the ambassador and with the different chambers from different countries. So we still need your support and your cooperation. So we need investment from companies that are set up in Uruguay that can help us solve a lot of these issues in terms of water, in terms of waste management, and especially in these topics, we need to do it and we need to do it fast because Uruguay is not going to have this opportunity forever. The opportunity that we have to stand out in the world is by adding the environmental aspect to the country brand. And that's why we need your support. So this new ministry would like to thank you for being part of this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Minister Adrián Peña. So now we are going to share a message that was sent by the Executive Vice President of the European Commission, Valdis Dombrovskis.
Honorable Minister Bustillo Banasso, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to address the third edition of the EU-Uruguay Investment Forum. Europe's relationship with Uruguay is deep and multifaceted. Our trade and economic links are long-standing and continue to develop. On behalf of the European Commission, I would like to recognize Uruguay's very effective work in containing the COVID-19 pandemic. Accordingly, the EU has included Uruguay in its list of safe countries for travel, the only Latin American country to be on the list. Uruguay will therefore be in a good position to benefit from the economic recovery when it comes. European companies believe in Uruguay. Collectively, they are the largest source of investment in the country, creating jobs and transferring knowledge. This forum provides a very useful opportunity to discuss how we can develop this mutually beneficial investment relationship even further. It is particularly important to assess how SMEs can get more benefit from our mutual investment and trade. I am happy to note the role of the EU-funded Inspirame program, which aims to support Uruguayan SMEs to take advantage of EU market opportunities, with a special focus on women and young entrepreneurs. The EU and Uruguay share many common values, including commitment to make our economies more sustainable. Uruguay has already begun to decarbonize its economy, thanks in part to EU investment in the renewable energy sector. I am confident that this forum will discuss the next steps we can take together. Finally, I want to mention the EU-Mercosur Agreement. My view is clear. I believe it is in our long-term mutual interest to ratify this ambitious agreement. However, progress will depend on both sides working together to find solutions to current obstacles, in particular to climate and environmental challenges. I am sure you will discuss this subject in depth during the forum. To conclude, I wish you a very successful forum, and I look forward to hearing the outcomes of your discussions. Thank you.
So thank you very much, the Vice President of the European Commission, Valdis Dombrovskis, for joining us and for his words related to this forum. And as the closure to this first part, we would like to give the floor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Francisco Bustillo. So, good morning. The Minister of Environment, Adrián Peña, the Executive Vice President of the European Commission, Valdis Dombrovskis, Ambassador of the European Union in Uruguay, Karl Otto Koenig, and President of the Commerce and Services Chamber of Uruguay, Julio Lestido, and President of the Euro Chamber, Luis Martinez. Ambassadors, businessmen, dear Azucena, Carolina, and Andrea, ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to be part of this third forum of European investment in Uruguay, something that is growing every year and that is highly important to get to know the possibilities of the relationship that we have between our countries and the European Union. This emphasizes services and green economy, and these are characteristics that need cooperation, and especially to work on commerce rules. It's important to have this on the public agenda and to gather public and private stakeholders to contribute with synergies to maximize opportunities. These brief words would also like to mention the most ambitious program between the European Union and Uruguay, the Association Agreement. The opportunities that this future agreement will have, there are three visions from Uruguay on this respect. First of all, Uruguay is fully committed to signing this agreement between Mercosur and the European Union right now, today. As of June 28, 2019, the formal aspects for the signing of the agreement have been our utmost priority. Our technical teams and political authorities of our country have put emphasis on the need to have a fast and pragmatic approach so that this agreement that is so necessary for both blocs can be a reality. Mercosur and the European Union have to focus all our efforts to tie all the loose ends. Because of the importance of the agreement and the international credibility of both blocs, we have to materialize the result of more than 20 years of work. In the second place, Uruguay respects internal debates on the agreement, but time is of the essence. We believe that this agreement, as other agreements with the European Union, have created different situations. It is not the ideal and perfect agreement, but it's the possible agreement. This is the result of many years of negotiations, so we have to respect this, and we have to work on everything that provides public serenity and strengthens the fact that all the aspects have been considered. But we cannot let circumstantial situations to put a strain on the agreement, especially because this agreement contemplates all the issues. And it has the commitment of Mercosur. Uruguay is a producer of high-quality food and respects all environmental standards and wants to add value to its production of food without damaging the environment. Uruguay has developed the best production standards and would like to reach the households with the product that's the result of the work of our people. We understand the concern about this, and this is a two-way street. I would like to make a short parenthesis now, just to mention something that Ambassador Otto Koenig said. These are things that can shed some light and contribute to the care of the environment as we walk together. So some important data in terms of sustainable development. The agreement, the association agreement, will be the only document that will force all members to stay in the Paris Agreement. The same chapter also recognizes the precautionary principle, something that Mercosur has used for a long time, which enables to stop the agreement or to also benefit from policies that have to do with the labor environment. The companies also and the countries of the Mercosur has ratified a lot of the agreements that have to do with the labor organization. The energy matrix in European countries is renewable, but sometimes clean energies do not exceed 15% of the energies. So the agreement would cause an increase of the commercial relations. For example, the quota of beef that the European Union opens to Mercosur is 99%, but it's the equivalent of what Brazil exports to China in 1 month. This will not provide an increase of extensive cattle breeding as a result of the agreement. This will also lead to the sustainable management of lands for forestation. So any violation to the agreement, of course, will not go undamaged. There are specifications about this. It also includes an evaluative clause where parties can hold conversations in the future to review it once it is in force. In third place, the world today, and more than ever, needs optimistic messages, needs agreements such as the association agreement between Mercosur and the European Union. We have faced a pandemic. The multilateral commercial system was, even before, in deep crisis. So within this context, the protectionist measures are only an incentive that can lead to chaos. The AA is the example that commerce on fair rules can generate 800 million people, 100,000 million euros in commerce. I mean, concluding this process is it's a key opportunity to say that this is the way to overcome the crisis, to generate opportunities for our businessmen and workers, both in the Mercosur and Europe, to have a more integrated world. So right after I arrived in Uruguay to take office in my position, all the information that we have from Europe, we said, well, it was possible but not likely to conclude the agreement. And we said that, well, if the case was like this, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay we would all try to reach the agreement. A few years ago, we got to know about an agreement between 15 countries of Asia Pacific and Australia, and we congratulate them because we have been working on our Mercosur European Union agreement for 20 years. So the balance we have achieved is saying that there will be sectors that will be affected, but all countries and all sectors will benefit from it. So we would like to have the same commitment from all the stakeholders. Okay, so this final process needs not only governors, because many times they are involved in their issues. It needs everybody. So due to the context that we've just mentioned, this has been very atypical. The uncertainty of the pandemic, closed borders, the impossibility to hold presential meetings have all impacted on its agenda. But we have worked very hard to find all the possibilities to move forward with our objectives. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our common project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bustillo, for your words. And while we prepare for the first panel of this forum, we would like to remind you that you can follow us on the social media of Inspírame UE and from El País at #Foro UEUY. So this panel will be moderated by Fabián Tiscornia. He's a colleague of mine at El País, so I would like to invite, thank you.